Welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, the full CHGO White Sox crew. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. That's Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Acknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader, and I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We're being produced today by Sarah.
Hi.
Hello. And you can read Vinny's latest piece up at allchgo.com. Chris Getz spoke yesterday. We uploaded it in full to our YouTube page. If you missed yesterday's podcast, we also reacted to it, and Vinny posted a piece up to allchgo.com. Some questions were answered, like Garrett Crochet, which we'll talk about today, and some were left unanswered. Go read Vinny's piece. I'm not going to spoil it. There you go. It's a good piece, and it is weird because he did speak for 20 minutes, and I still have a lot of questions about Garrett Crochet even being a starter, because we have, I think, about a minute and 3 seconds of Chris Getz speaking on Garrett Crochet becoming a starter, and I don't know if I fully see the picture or not. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea is that that's probably something that's not going to become clear for quite some time, right? I mean, we got the news yesterday that he will be working toward being a starter, that the White Sox are going to treat him as a starter moving forward. I understand what you're talking about. How is that going to work necessarily? But that's probably, going to be learned come spring training, right? We're going to see it in action, kind of how far along he is in terms of that once spring training starts. What was he able to get done during the offseason that puts him in a better position to throw as many innings as he's going to need to throw as a starting pitcher versus where he was at the end of last season. Spring training is going to be very important in that, as are the months that follow, most likely in the minor leagues, to get him ready to do that, whether that's at a minor league level or a major league level. So it's probably a very long-term process, and we're going to find out exactly kind of what the roadmap looks like once they get a little further down the path, I think.
He's had 3 years of service time already, and it's just interesting to see what path, even after spring training, that would be. Because, hey, maybe he goes out and just has outings of 3 innings and he tries to build up that bulk. But even then, it's just, do you put him in Charlotte because it's the nearest to Major League Baseball? Do you put him down in Single A so he can just mow through people? Like, do you just want him to have the most 100 efficient pitches ever? Do you see, like, because he's never started before. Like, would you be surprised if you see, Winston-Salem Dash, Garrett Crochet?
I would be surprised because that's treating him like he doesn't know how to pitch. Yes.
Does he?
He does.
He was really good when he threw 101. You just kind of throw that down the middle.
Understood. Yeah, I understand that. So he must learn how to pitch with the stuff that he has, but I don't want him to have a false sense of hope that he is an actual good pitcher. Because the plan is for him to be pitching on the major league staff either at the end of 24, at the beginning of 25. So I don't think being very confident in striking out teenagers is going to get him to the major league success that he's looking for, or the White Sox are looking for that matter. And so I want him to go to the level where he feels he's getting challenged enough, where he can do his things, where developing his pitches, developing his rest in between starts and all that good stuff. If that's AA in Birmingham, that's AAA in Charlotte, go, so be it. But be a starting pitcher and understand what it is every fifth day to take that ball, because he hasn't done it since Tennessee and I think his sophomore year, and he barely did it then. So I think that you don't just send him down to Single A, because that would just be a thing where he's just trying to get his brain right and his confidence right and saying, man, I can just do this job all the day long. I'm striking out these guys from rookie ball easily. Go against some people who are actually of his age and who will be major league talent. And if he can do that, that would buoy more confidence in him, I believe, because you're actually striking out major league ready or major league starters who you might be facing in the future in the major leagues.
Hasn't started a game since 2020 at Tennessee when he was 21 years old. He is only 24 and won't be 25 until June 21st. He last year was younger than even AA. There's a 0.3, I guess that's like a 3-month difference between him and the average age of AA. Correct. So, I mean, he's still fairly green. I don't know. I mean, like, he's never started before. If I saw single A Garrett Crochet, I don't think that's a bad thing because I don't think he knows what type of pitcher he is as a starter. I mean, there's so much leg room and room for him to grow. First off, like, can you even throw 3 innings? Like, we really haven't seen that type of workload from him at the major league level. Like, can you even go out and throw 3 innings? I think it would be probably beneficial to go up against some teenagers to get that job done.
Well, I mean, and that's why we talk about this as a project and a process. I mean, I don't think this is something that happens overnight. They don't just say, all right, you're starting out. We'll see you in the rotation come spring training. Like, they're planning on this taking a while. They know that he needs to be built up to a specific innings base. But you're right. How do those pitches play as well? And getting that done in the minor leagues, whether it's AAA, AA, whatever, it allows them to look at it. I mean, at the end of the day, who cares what level it's at, right? I mean, it doesn't. I don't like to say it doesn't count, but it kind of doesn't count regardless. You know what I mean? It's there for development. That's what they're doing with him. And I understand that it's certainly far from linear, right? It's certainly far from the normal way that we see things done in the major leagues or in baseball in general, I should say. But this is a guy who has major league experience, and that's not nothing. I mean, having experience facing major league hitting, having success against major league hitting, that is definitely going to be helpful and give him it puts him much farther along the road than, hey, we drafted you and now we're going to start working on you like this. Like, he's got that experience. Sure, the innings base is very small, and I think that that's definitely a concern as to how long it's going to take in order to get him to where they need him to be. I mean, when you come up to the major leagues, you should be expected to go 6-7 innings in a start. If he's not able to do that, then he's not ready to be a major league starter, right? So it might be a while until he's ready to do that. Maybe we are talking about September. Maybe we are talking about next April or something like that. But I think right now it just becomes a surprising new wrinkle into what the White Sox are doing. But hey, they have some promising minor league pitching prospects right now that I think folks are keeping an eye on to what they could be in the long term of this team. I think you add Garrett Crochet to that list, not exactly saying that he's the same amount of time away from the major leagues as some of those guys who maybe are still in AA. Not exactly saying that he's any further ahead of guys who maybe got a late season promotion to AAA last year, but I think he goes in with that group of names where you're like, all right, let's start thinking about 25, 26, 27 and what those rotations might look like. He's now just another candidate to perhaps be part of that mix.
Yeah, and what benefit to the White Sox in 24 is Garrett Crochet in the bullpen? None, really. I mean, he can get people out, but we're banking on a bad year. So if he wants to increase his value in something that he's told Vinnie and the people that he's wanted to do this for a long time, might as well let him be happy as he can be. And also it increases your value for the player. Him being a starter, either mediocre to good, is better than him being a good reliever, right? It gives you more value, especially at the left arm that he does have. And if he can get anywhere near the 99 he was throwing up back in his rookie year, hundreds that he's throwing up in his rookie year, so be it. I guarantee as a starter, he probably can't gear that up all the time. He'll be probably sitting in the mid-90s. I mean,
that was gone by the second year he was in baseball. I mean, that was gone by 21. He wasn't throwing it with that velocity anymore.
But then he had the surgery, right? After, right?
Well, 2 years later.
Yeah, but he's never hit that. Yeah. Like 2020, he blew out whatever he did in Oakland, and that never came back.
He was a different pitcher by opening day 2021 than he was when he was pitching for them at the end of 2020.
His average max velocity in 2020 was 100.1, and then in 2021 it was 96.7, and then in 2023 it was 96.3.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's just...
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that he can sit mid-90s, and that's fine. But his best value to the White Sox is being a starter, whether that's single A, double A, triple A, or in the major leagues.
Well, I think you're right, but I'll bring up what I did yesterday again, just to play devil's advocate a little bit there and say that there is some risk to this in that they have a guy who they know is a good relief pitcher or can be a good relief pitcher. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think so. I mean, honestly, I think they have to rebuild him as a pitcher. I don't think you saw anything in 2023 or post 2020 that made him look like really phenomenal. And I guess maybe 2021, I'm being a little bit harsh, but especially in 2023, there wasn't a ton of life in that arm.
He was hurt, obviously.
Right. But I mean, I know, but like you look at, he didn't have a pitch that got over 30% whiff rate. And then the weighted on base percentage for his fastball was 394, his slider 327, his changeup 348. Like, I mean, he wasn't effective.
He was unhealthy and he only threw 12 innings. I mean,
but then why was he pitching?
Well,
he had to work his way back.
And he came back and then he got hurt again. I mean, it was what I'm saying is that they have proof. They have major league proof that he can be maybe he can't be anymore, that he has been, let's say, an effective major league relief pitcher. That is not nothing moving forward when the alternative is the unknown of whether he can be an effective major league starter. Obviously, they think that risk is worth taking because that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I think also, too, like the one thing that was brought up yesterday, this won't cause against service time. I mean, he was obviously a very highly thought of prospect at very different levels. At some point 75, some point 50, some point even 35 from Baseball Prospectus. But I don't think that he was ever fully realized. They had the COVID breakup where he obviously didn't get to pitch in college, then was thrown into a major league team that same year. Like, I don't think he ever had the ability to figure out his three pitches. He's mainly just a fastball guy. I mean, 60% fastball out of the bullpen, especially with not being 97, 98, 99. Like, he's just not as effective as he was. Like, they have to rebuild him to maybe get length, and that's how he's going to be valuable as a bullpen arm, if that's what he becomes, if he's not able to hit a starter. Like, maybe you can give us 3 innings out of the bullpen. Like, I think there is a direction, especially now looking at the roster, because you see, as Chris Getz told you guys, Chris Flexen in the rotation. So right now, Cease, Fetty, Kopech, Soroka, Flexen, and then in the bullpen, Santos, Lambert, Hill, Davey Garcia, Tanner Banks, Shane Drohan, Tuki Toussaint, and they still count Garrett Crochet in here. Like, I think that the Shane Drohan Rule 5 pick now makes more sense. If Garrett Crochet is going to start in AA or AAA, right, you have the ability to then have Drohan be your left-handed specialist that Crochet was, and maybe he can be more effective in one singular inning roles as a flamethrower lefty, which Garrett Crochet was. And then Tanner Banks could be your long relief left inning bullpen guy that it seems like they want Crochet to be. Right? Like, I think they're just giving Crochet that ability to be effective for them in 2025 and 2026, because in 2024, it seems like he has to do a lot of developing. Makes a lot of sense for him to do developing at the developmental levels.
Yes, it does.
So, like, I don't know. Like, he doesn't have a second pitch, I think. He doesn't have a third pitch, I think. He has a fastball that's fine. And it's not the same fastball that it was when he was a highly thought of prospect. Like, there's a long way for him to go to become a major league pitcher, I think, again, because he just wasn't that same guy, when we saw him in June, or when we even saw him at the end of the year, in September and October. Like, I'm not super sold on him, and I think it's just a great move for him to find some more development.
There's absolutely mystery involved, right? And I mean, I think you could say that with anybody who has that Tommy John, is like, well, even if we have seen the successful track record of that procedure before, you just wonder, what is going to be different about that pitcher after the fact? And we haven't gotten an answer to that yet for the reasons we talked about, mostly the fact that he only threw 12 innings last year at the major league level. So I think we were waiting to get the answer to that question, and now all of a sudden, boom, here's a brand new scenario for him. And hey, maybe this is more bad luck for the White Sox on the injury front that forces what was a first-round pick into somebody who's not going to have the impact that you hope a first-round pick has when you make that selection.
And I saw today that if he does go to Birmingham, he will not be coached by Danny Farquhar. He is taken off to Seattle as the major league pitching coordinator over there. So that's one less person that he can learn from, the great Danny Farquhar, who started this whole Astros thing.
I mean, maybe there's some like weird beef between Brian Bannister and Danny Farquhar from like old.
Why would you?
I mean, like,
assume that.
Like, I mean,
or you're just making a joke.
Yeah, it's more of a joke. Like, the Seattle gang and the Kansas City gang. Like, I don't think Danny Farquhar and Brian Bannister are ever on the same AL Sharks versus Jets thing. All right,
I think it's probably a guy who was coaching at the AA level getting a chance to coach at the major league level. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. And a place that he's familiar with, too. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, I've never been to Birmingham, but I know that Seattle's a larger metroplex than Birmingham, and maybe that's more appealing to somebody who's in their 30s or 40s. I don't know.
I've heard some good things about Birmingham, but I don't think it's going out on too much of a limb to say that Seattle is probably a nicer place than Birmingham, Alabama.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never been to Birmingham, but I can 100% assure you that it's better than Seattle's better than Birmingham.
Final thoughts on Crochet. Like, in those final games that he pitched, 2 games, I think, on the 27th of September and then the 1st of October. In those games, he threw 29 pitches. 22 of them were fastballs, and average fastball velocity 59.9.
Wait.
That can't be right.
59.9. You mean
95.9. No, yeah, you're right. It can't be right.
It's like, that's weak pitching.
His 5 sliders, 85.5, and then his changeups, he threw 2 of them, clocking in at 90. The one thing, too, his perceived velocity, because he is a long, gangly freak, that 95.9 feels like 97.8. So even though it doesn't have that same zip, with his long arms, all that coming at you, it's obviously got a little bit more oomph on it. But I don't think that, when that was 100 on the gun, it probably felt like it was like 101, right? Like, he's just a completely different pitcher from that, and I think that's like a back end of the bullpen guy. Garrett Crochet, I think, if you are able to use that length, could be a very difficult pitcher to figure out if he does have 3 fully developed pitches, which I think is the goal.
I'll say this to you, Sean. You know who's probably behind this decision?
Brian Bannister,
who you have had nothing but positive things to say about.
Yeah, hey.
So I'm just saying, let's put it this way. Rick Hahn always seemed kind of lukewarm to the idea of Crochet becoming a starter. We even heard Chris Getz after he took over kind of, we'll see kind of about that idea. Maybe some more influence from the guy who's been around here from September and who's in charge of their pitching side says something that that those 2 guys maybe weren't seeing.
Well, hopefully they see Kansas City, the Kansas City Royals, Cole Raggins, go over to Driveline, or I think he might have been with Tread, and he was a long, gangly, left-handed freak that was throwing like 92.8, and then from getting traded from Texas to Kansas City, he's now averaging like 102 as a starter. So, hey, maybe if Brian Bannister can also revive his fastball and get that zip back on it, I'm cool with that too. I mean, there's a lot to see in a 6'6" pitcher from the left side that has a 95+ mile per hour fastball. Like, I mean, just right now, it's not a refined pitcher, and he never had any refinement. It was just, okay, we know we can use you for 12 pitches. You're going to throw that crazy big fastball, and then since they're geared up for 100, you could throw this weird loopy slider, and it wasn't really about like, let's make the best pitcher. It was about let's get outs for our team that's competitive, and, Rick Hahn was in a place where he was building a competitor. Chris Getz took over the corpse of a competitor, and now, we haven't gotten a full... We're rebuilding, but
no, absolutely.
It seems like they're rebuilding.
No, you're absolutely right. There was a comment up earlier that was like, oh, they should have made this decision back in 2021. No, in 2021, the best thing for that White Sox team that had a pretty loaded rotation, the best thing for that White Sox team was to have Garrett Crochet be used as a bullpen arm who could help them win that division and help them. The idea was to win playoff games. Mm-hmm. Right now, in 2024, they are nowhere near that. And they not only does the team outlook look different, but the pitching outlook in particular looks different. If you can turn that asset that you have, if you could work some magic and turn it into a starting pitcher in 2025 for your rotation, all of a sudden that's kind of a big deal. So I think you're not only talking about 2 very different situations with the guys in charge and where this team was, but the need for starting pitching in the, yes, immediate, but as immediate as it can be with Garrett Crochet is vastly different as well.
Because I know you've said this, Vinny, but look at the people that Mazman puts out there. Kopech, is he going to be here next year? He's contractually, yes, but will he be a starter? Flexen, 1-year deal. Fetty, 2-year deal. Soroka may not be here. So your point is well made right there because you need more starters and inexpensive starters because you know your team's not going to be going all out for those other starters on the free agent market. And so it is good for the White Sox to explore things to make most of their people starting pitchers. And then if they're not, at worst, you can downshift and say, hey, you're just a reliever. And it's no harm, no foul, I don't think, this year in 2024 for the White Sox to do that. It's just a year off the calendar for them. And if he shows that he can't be a starter, cool. You have that in your pocket that he can be a major league reliever. And you tell the player, you're like, hey, man, we gave you every chance in 2024 to prove us that you're a starter. It didn't work out. Now we're focused on a different thing where we're a little bit more looking to compete. So your best role and the best role for us is you to be a reliever now. Or if he proves that he is a starter, baby, you're in the house. You're our fifth starter for the 2025 season. Go ahead and get him.
Who is this asking the question? Jared saying 2019 at Tennessee, he threw 65 innings with a 4 ERA. Is that the most innings he's ever pitched in his career? Yes.
I mean, does it even count as his career? But yes, the answer is he has not hit that number as a professional. Yeah,
that's the peak of since Garrett Crochet's pitching stats have been counted.
There you go.
I think something that will be interesting to see more defined by Getz and the pitching staff and the developmental staff is certain goals that they want Crochet to reach, right? Do you want to go make 20 starts at 5 innings to get to 100 innings? Is it to get to that 65 inning base and then build from that? Like, is it just to it's just, go as much as you can, go break the machine? Like, I don't know.
It's a great question, and we're going to find out in the spring. One thing that comes to mind is the way that you see, granted, already established starting pitchers get ready for a season, which is during spring training, first start of spring training, they'll maybe go 4 innings. And then the next one, they'll go 5. And then the next one, they'll go 6. And they're ready to throw a 7-inning game come opening day. Maybe you see the way stretched out version of that where it's like, all right, the entire month of April, we want you to just get out there and make sure you can finish 4 innings. Entire month of May, then we're going to step it up to 5. Again, this is me totally speculating and probably saying something that won't actually happen. But it is a thing that comes to mind, and you could see that kind of stair-stepping to maybe get him to where they need him to be by the end of the season, and then they say, whoa, that's a lot of innings you just worked. You're cool. You're cool. Great job in AAA this year. We're going to try to turn this into you being able to handle a major league workload in 2025.
And then, say the White Sox surprise by September, and they're in it. And Garrett, it's the elephant in the room. The AL Central's bad. He could still, if he has enough bullets in that arm, he could still be a reliever.
If you're going to have him be a starter, have him be a starter.
If he can help the major league team, and he's one of the best arms in the organization, and has some bullets left, hell yeah, that's water. Jerk.
What are you drinking?
It's delicious water.
Gonna help you in September. Let's take a break. I feel like we've exhausted the Garrett Crochet starter
stuff. If you believe in Brian Bannister as much as you do, and the White Sox are in the AL Central still, you don't think by September that they could possibly still be in this garbage-ass division? Who's running away?
It's not necessarily running away with the division as so much as how far behind would the White Sox be.
Yeah, I think Brian Bannister is good at his job. I don't think he's Jesus.
I mean, the Twins didn't run away with did the Twins run away with the AL Central last year? Like, they were just, it's just that the rest of the teams were not good, right?
The elephant in the room. When did the September 22nd? I don't know if that's running away, but it's a comfortable lead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not trying to say they didn't win the division by a comfortable margin, but how many games over 500 were they? The teams behind them just weren't challenging. And I think that's probably the idea, is that teams like the White Sox and Royals, at the very least, are not built to challenge at the moment.
I don't think they're going to have cease too, which is the thing. I mean, this team's just going to be worse come March. Whatever. I was also wrong. Garrett Crochet has pitched 3 innings in his career before at the major league level. One outing, it was April 25th, 2021 against the Rangers. Kopech started 5 innings. Jonathan Stever relieved him, and
where's he at?
Did not do well. I don't think his arm held up well. But Crochet came in, relieved him for 3 innings, threw 46 pitches, and was fine. 3 hits, 1 walk, hit a batter, but didn't allow a run. So Crochet has gone over 3 innings once. All right, let's take a break. Let's let people know about ComEd, and then we will jump into more discussions about the Chicago White Sox, some more Royal-based discussions. You know who's royalty? ComEd.
The kings of energy.
Electric vehicles. It's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles with the king of electric vehicles, ComEd. It's something that we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
It's a great point, Sean. The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence toward an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So what should business owners do, Vinny?
What a phenomenal question. They should go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. They're good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
Sean, it's exactly what I said. Go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Thanks, Vinny. I also need your singing voices, gentlemen, because we're going to let people know about Empire today. 588-2300 Empire today. With Empire today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed, so competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise lowest prices because anyone who does is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. Empire keeps shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes, and what they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles, and you can see those perfect styles with their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. Just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. Again, schedule a free in-home estimate today at EmpireToday.com/CHGO and use code CHGO for a $350 off discount. Okay. Do we want to do... Oh, that's a good one. Jimmy's asking, how much taller are they going to stretch Crochet out to? Because they're going to stretch him out.
They're going to make him hang by his ankles from the ceiling and try and get him a little taller.
If they do it for 3 months, I think they could probably get like 3 inches.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think it works that way, Sean.
7 feet tall. Beat John Rauch out for the tallest pitcher in MLB history. I think it'd be worth a shot. Where do you guys want to go? We'll just play. Let's do the Royals thing. All right. You want to do the Royals thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Yesterday, as we played, Chris Getz addressed the media and revealed information that I think was revealed previously to the press conference, but Chris Getz confirming that.
It was reported on Sunday by Bob Nightingale.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good job, Bob. Assistant General Manager of the White Sox, Jeremy Haber, has left the organization and coming over from the Royals after, I think, 25 years. Jin Wong, former Assistant General Manager of the Royals, is now going to be the Assistant General Manager of the White Sox.
So Bob reported both halves of what you just said. Chris only talked about Jeremy Haber's departure yesterday, so the Jin Wong hire remains a report only, not confirmed by Chris Getz yesterday, just to do some housekeeping on the details there.
Okay. Yeah. But Ann Rodgers from MLB.com reporting from October 19th, 2023, that Jin Wong has left the Royals after 23 years. So he was a free agent.
Not hired away from the Royals, but hired after the conclusion of a lengthy tenure with the Royals.
And which is a good little thing because the White Sox might have acquired another Royal, which is something that you're begrudgingly wanting to talk about, I guess.
No, I think that we've gotten to the point in this narrative where it has become assumed by everybody that that's exactly what they're trying to do, is become the new Royals. Every single news item that I tweet out contains comments endlessly that say, either A, they got another Royal, or B, what's the matter? This guy isn't a Royal, I'm just kind of over it. I'm a little tired of it. It's
played out.
It is played out. The connections are true. It's undoubtedly the case that, listen, Martin Maldonado said he's here because he was familiar with Pedro Grifol. When were they familiar with each other? When they were with the Royals. Chris Getz worked for the Royals. Pedro Grifol worked for the Royals. The people who are making the decisions have ties to that organization. Obviously, that is true. That being said, I don't think it smacks as this huge
edict,
strategic backfire that the fans are painting it as. Now, I understand that they're all frustrated with everything the White Sox do, and so it was never going to be a positive celebration regardless of what happened. But I think folks are painting it as this, they're trying to do something that makes no sense because, look, the Royals are usually bad. It's one of the only teams last year that was worse than the White Sox. And look, they're making this huge mistake going forward. I just want to make sure that it's remaining a joke and not a actual, like, people are think that it's actually being done on purpose. Because here's the thing. Chris Getz got the job. Pedro Grifol got the job. And to hire people that you have worked with before, to hire people that you believe are good fits because you know them, is not weird, right? Like, isn't that what people do all the time? When you see Herb, here's a good example. When you see a new athletics director put in at a university, and the idea is that they're going to go out and get their guy, right, to hire. You see sometimes people that they know, right, that they have familiarity with, and whether that ends up being a good hire or not, whatever. But I think the point being that, Herb, if you're going to be a process over results person, I want folks to know that the process isn't we're going to hire a person or acquire a player because they have a line on their resume that said they worked in Kansas City for a brief amount of time, versus the process being the people who are the decision makers are perhaps familiar with those people and have an understanding of what they would bring to either the organization or the active roster. And so I guess what I'm saying is it's not necessarily the bad thing that everybody is painting it as. It certainly has been plenty of fodder for jokes, as you're going to continue to make on this very episode, Sean. But I do think that it's something that, because it is such a part of what the conversation is right now, it can be illuminated that it isn't necessarily a 100% negative every time it does happen to occur.
I understand what you're saying, and it makes sense, but I think people are having problems with the person who is the decision maker or are the decision makers are all Royals. So we're just looking at a team that's the one team we can look at. It's like, that team is not as good as us, or organization not as good as us, even though they won a World Series more recently than us. And you're like, that's just the two people that you're thinking of, Pedro and like Brian Bannister, also a former Royal, but
player
Chris Getz, another person. Like, these are all people who have been on that team, and so we're like, if we're going to be shooting for familiarity with the team of choice, it's the wrong team to be going with. Like, yes, the Pedro they hired a long time ago, Chris they hired recently. So these things are gripes that are about those people. But yes, it's continuing down the road because they're hiring their buddies who happen to have Royal on them.
Now, what I know, my friends, is that this stinks to high heaven, all the way to the top. We heard that a new advisor has been instituted for the Chicago White Sox, and that is Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa made his major league debut with whom?
I could see it.
This man's so old, it's the Kansas City Ace.
So not the Royals.
Well, it's technically the Royals, I think.
Well, it's not the Royals.
A's.
Is it not?
They're the actual
Damn it.
What the Las Vegas A's are going to be.
It says Kansas City, Oakland A's. Okay, all right. So I guess he's God damn it.
He's not even a Royal.
Darn.
Nice try, Sean.
We can't even give Tony that.
I know. I thought I could make the connection. Damn it. All right, but Messi Carroll on Twitter has put together for the 22 signings, trades, or selected contract for the White Sox, 18.2% of them have a Royal connection. I don't think that this counts Nicky Lopez because he counts to several lists of both hometown and Royal heroes. So I think of the 22%, the 22 players,
Nicky Lopez is the 4.3.
Oh, it's the 4.5. Yeah, both is the 4.5. Thank you.
So it's three people, right?
Well, 22. It's
Hill, Maldonado, and Lopez.
It's 24 of them, I think.
No, but
'Cause
that
it's-
have played
what's
for the
18?
Royals.
Saying that 24 people divided with 18% of that would be 3 people.
Brett Phillips, Justin Anderson, Tim Hill, Martin Maldonado, and then Nicky Lopez too.
Okay, and so 2 of those are minor league contracts.
Yeah, I mean, they've been selected contracts. So yeah, but then also, I mean, Jin Wong, Gene Watson, the Brian Bannister one. That one I will say is a stretch. At least his work as a pitching director hasn't been with the Royals. Those were with the Red Sox and Giants. I mean, he's not. He was a Royal. I don't know, but I get it.
And hey, I'll go back to what I wrote toward the end of the season too. Kansas City Royals won a World Series in 2015.
Right about
That's
that.
10 years more recently than the White Sox have.
Any thoughts on Jeremy Haber leaving the organization?
I guess at the end of the day, it's not terribly surprising just because of what I just said, right? When in that reference I just made to an AD, I mean, he was Rick Hahn's assistant GM. He worked for the previous Brain Trust, and there's a new Brain Trust in town, and it would make sense that some of those higher level staffing positions will have turned over. Chris Getz and the White Sox have made very high profile, or they've tried to make very high profile of the people that they've brought in, be it the aforementioned Bannister, Gene Watson, or Josh Barfield. They've really put a spotlight on that group, and Jeremy Haber was a holdover. He obviously, has probably been part of the decision making until very recently, but it makes sense that he was with the former people in charge, and now there's a new person in charge.
Yeah, probably helping the transition go right and smoothly. Probably wasn't. I mean, if anybody, I would be not too happy if a person who I perceived who under me got the job. Maybe I was in line for the next, and he would probably find some success somewhere else in major leagues. I see that as like the Kenny Williams, Dan Evans thing, where one guy's going to get the job, the other guy's going to go by the wayside and go and find some other work somewhere else, and that's what Dan Evans did. He became the general manager of the Dodgers, and now he's not anywhere, but he's a valued member of the baseball community.
I tried to find Jeremy Haber's LinkedIn to see if he was ever a Royal. Maybe that's the part of the reason why he left.
Wouldn't it be part of the reason that he would stay, Sean?
Exactly.
By your logic, by your joking logic?
He didn't. He left because he wasn't a Royal. He'll never be Royals.
Does that mean Josh Barfield has to turn around and go back to Arizona?
I don't know. I guess.
Are you singing the song?
Is he never a... No, I'm not going to sing the song. Is he never a Royal, Josh Barfield?
I think he was only a Indian, and then
his dad a
Dodger. I mean, his dad was in Royal Blue, but that was Toronto Blue Jays. I remember that.
All right. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Let's take a break, and then we'll jump into what Luke was asking us to talk about a little bit earlier with Luis Robert and his new agent. I want to let you know about our friends over at Game Time. Our friends at Game Time take the stress out of buying tickets. If you couldn't find last-minute tickets, if you thought that there were no good deals out there, you have to check our friends over at Game Time. Because we got a nice nifty code for you, $20 off with the code CHGO. But they have flash deals, zone deals. They have easy to find and buy tickets in all different types of the stadium, right? They got deals for the top of the top. They got deals for the low of the low. Bulls are taking on the Rockets tonight. They got a couple flash deals in the top section, the lower bowl. I think there's even some on the lower bowl as well.
$25 to get into the UC. That ain't bad.
Not bad. And Zach LaVine's back. It's the full strength Bulls.
I'm going to the game tonight, and I bought my tickets on Game Time. Just saying.
Awesome.
There you go.
Sarah, you should be doing this read.
Yeah, I heard.
I love Game Time. I literally, ever since I'm so serious, ever since we started doing it as a sponsor and everything, I only use Game Time because I love that I can see where my seats are, and they're always cheaper.
As you're showing right now on the, if you're watching the YouTube, you're seeing exactly what this $23 ticket is.
Oh, you could sit here for $84. These are good seats for $84.
Boom, that's a great deal.
Might as well.
And,
that's a great deal.
That's a great sales pitch from Sarah. Take the guesswork out of buying with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And two, they do guarantee lowest price. And Herb got his guarantee, the Game Time guarantee, within 12 minutes. So a quick and easy support if you do end up flying a lower price.
Clean up the Barfields. They both only play for two teams, Padres, Indians, and his daddy played for the Yankees in the Blue Jays.
All right, I'll try to find some connection for this to work out. All right, we got to let people know about FOCO.
We do. Usually when we're in Studio A, you will see the bobbleheads that FOCO has donated to our set. You've got the classic Southpaw holding the orange White Sox flag. You've got the classic Tim Anderson waiting for the red line train that might just be ghosting him, and so he's got to sit around on that. I'll stop a little bit longer. But they've got all sorts of stuff for you to go see. So check out FOCO. You can get fitted out in the best sports gear around. They've got hoodies, they've got shoes, they got signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. As you know, it is always baseball season, so go get yourself an Aloha shirt, a straw hat, a polo, and that lovely bag set to bust out in the parking lot at Guaranteed Rate Field on March 28th when there's going to be a foot of snow on the ground. You've seen the set decorations. Now go show them some love. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in the description below. And for all non-presale items, you can use the promo code CHGO10 for 10% off.
Damn, what a busy day in the football world. Pete Carroll is moving up to an advisor with the Seattle Seahawks. Nick Saban just retired. Mercy.
Did he really?
Yeah, that's what Jordan Gilmore said, and it's confirmed on X.
Roll damn Tide.
Oh, damn Tide. I thought Saban still had a little bit more juice left. Maybe
he's like 70 years old, isn't he?
Yeah.
72.
He's 82?
72.
72. Mercy. All right. Just because Vinny doesn't find the bit funny, let's do the bit. Find the Royal. I hated the bit. I suggested the bit.
This particular bit or the overarching bit?
The Find the Royal bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like how it turned out. And
you got to put
this is hard to see.
a crown these Royals?
I didn't like how this turned out. I got 6 players here. One of them has connections to the Kansas City Royal. If you need help, I'm here to provide.
I believe.
I
believe I know the answer.
I already have my guess too.
I believe I know the answer.
We'll start with Sarah on her guess.
The dude on the top right corner.
Top right. That is Brandon Belt, and it's incorrect.
Okay, never mind.
Herb, Vinny seems very strongly to know it, so I'm going to save him for last.
I mean, I don't see the guys. I see Jason Hayward there, and Vinny knows who the guy is. Go ahead, Vinny.
I believe that middle center is Will Smith, the pitcher, yes?
It is.
And I believe he is the answer.
It is. I was trying to trick you. Will Smith
I win.
just signed with the Royals.
The Fresh Prince.
And I was hoping that would draw you off Will Smith's connection to the Royals because he made his major league debut
with the Royals. Yes, in fact, because, all these things happen in an offseason and you tend to forget them until you see these people in their actual uniforms. I had totally forgot that Will Smith was once again on the Royals. I knew that he had previously been on the Royals.
In your time covering the Royals?
Well, you probably covered him as a Royal,
12?
Right?
I mean, 2012 was the year I was there.
He's not that old.
There you go. I have connections to the Royals, everybody. Make that part of the joke.
He's not that old, is he?
No, that's black. No,
well, you've Googled Will Smith, the actor, so that's not going to be helpful.
Yeah.
I don't believe he has any connection to the Royals.
I mean,
the Kansas City Royals.
Okay. There we go. Yes.
Yeah, 2012 to
There you
2013.
Go. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I was there for Will Smith's major league debut.
There.
89 and 2/3 innings, and he started all 16 games that he appeared in. That's crazy.
Golly.
All right. Damn.
How old is Will Smith? In his 40s?
34.
Not that old.
No, not that old.
2012 was apparently.
That's right. It's not that old.
At least, I mean, for a pitcher, he's ancient.
Well, thankfully, not all of us 34-year-olds are.
No. Luis Robert Jr. is not 34 years old. He's a young man, and people are freaking out a little bit.
No reason to.
I know, but people like to freak out because they see the name Scott Boras, and he's the boogeyman. John Heyman reported today that Luis Robert Jr. has signed John Heyman to be his agent.
Nope. John Heyman reported that.
John Heyman reported that Luis Robert Jr. has signed Scott Boras.
There we go.
Boras Corp. To be his agent. Thank you, Vinny, for
You're
cleaning
welcome.
that up.
We didn't want to make you think that John Heyman jumped into the sports agent business.
Has he? Do you want to break any news? Do you have a scoop?
I'm saying we don't want to
let people know. All right. So Scott Boras has been in the Major League Baseball agent business for a while. Pretty notable. And he is now signed Luis Robert Jr. I'm not worried because Luis Robert Jr. signed for 4 years.
It tells me all I need to know about Luis Robert Jr. Man's confident as hell about his game, and he wants to maximize the money he's going to get when he does become a free agent. That's exactly what I felt when Dylan Cease fired his agency to hire Boras Corp, and this is how I feel when anybody fires their agent. to go with Scott Boras. That tells me that person has ultimate confidence in their game and they want to maximize their money. And that's awesome to hear for Luis Robert Jr. That has nothing to do with the White Sox. If Luis Robert Jr. wants to maximize his money in 4 years, the White Sox have the one of 30 chances to maximize his money with him. So it's a good thing for everybody involved. Money's going to be going up for Luis Robert Jr. Same thing with Boras Corp. And if the White Sox want to participate, we're all good too. If they don't, then they weren't ready for baseball then. They weren't ready for what baseball is turning into. And I'm glad that Luis Robert Jr. has seen that he is a top of the level, top of the tier of MLB talents, and you only get the best agent to represent you.
Yeah, I mean, there's, to go back to the idea of narratives, there's a narrative out there that the White Sox don't like dealing with Scott Boras, and I think I'm not necessarily sure that it has to do with the man as much as it has to do with the goal that he has, which is to try and get really expensive, really long-term deals for his clients. And particularly in the last few years, stuff like opt-outs and new features of contracts that are becoming more and more normal, but that the White Sox haven't necessarily shown a willingness to hand out in their own free agent signings. And so it's not necessarily as much about Scott Boras as, like you just said, Herb, hey, if the White Sox want Luis Robert Jr. after his current contract is over, they're going to have to pay for it. And that was going to have to be the case whether he was represented by Scott Boras or anybody else. I think right now you can look at Dylan Cease and say that Dylan Cease being with Scott Boras has not changed anything that we know of, at least, the amount of time that Dylan Cease is going to be on the White Sox. The reason Dylan Cease is potentially going to be traded right now is not because the White Sox are looking up and going, oh, he's represented by Scott Boras, we'll never be able to re-sign him. They're looking up and saying, well, this team lost 101 games last year, and the only thing we can do to get this organization back on track this offseason perhaps is to trade an asset like Dylan Cease for some minor league talent. So I think that this is, like you said, Herb, probably a really good move for Luis Robert Jr. because Scott Boras' clients tend to get really nice deals from plenty of teams. The White Sox are the ones who are going to have to change their behavior, not Scott Boras, because he's doing exactly what he's being paid to do. Mm-hmm. The White Sox, if they want to swim in that deep end of the pool, and maybe one day they'll be in a position where they can. I mean, listen, they signed a Scott Boras client a few years back in Dallas Keuchel. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not completely allergic to it. It's just that the deepest end of the pool is not traditionally where they have been in free agent signing. Luis Robert Jr., when he hits free agency, whenever that might be, he will be in that deep end of the pool.
Yes, hopefully, as long as he stays healthy and continues on the trajectory that he was after the 2023 season. And again, like if they get to a point after 2027 where they've picked up all the club options and he's a free agent and he's commanding over $300 million. That's not a bad thing. That means he's been very good for the White Sox
very
for
much
the past
worth that
4 years.
And very much worth that contract that they signed him to already.
I mean, I think even he could do that with 1 year. I mean, he's been phenomenal. He did that once he hit that homer off Mike Fiers. I mean, I didn't pay him $88 million, but he was worth it after that one.
Yeah, and it doesn't preclude the White Sox from talking to Scott Boras and asking about an extension. Yes, most of Scott Boras' clients go to free agency, but one didn't. One in particular didn't, and that's Steven Strasburg. They signed him to extension. So it's not over for the White Sox. It is just the beginning. And if you want Luis Robert past what you already have him, those conversations can start now, and you don't have to have Scott Boras be the boogeyman in the 2028 season. You could just have, hey, we have this guy for 4 more years, and we have conversations with his agent that we can extend it for more than 4 years than that. And Luke, I mean, it's a pipe dream, but whatever. You still have exclusive negotiation rights with Luis Robert right now until 4 years from now, or if you trade before that.
Luke asked, will he be traded by the start of 2026? His club options start then 2026, a $20 million club option, and then 2027, his 29 age season, another club option for $20 million. If they were going to trade him, they trade him now. I mean, he will never be more valuable than right now.
Assuming that they're only going to go up from now, if that is correct.
I mean,
but if they get to the end of the 2025 season and they are still down where they currently are, then we're having the exact same conversations then about Luis Robert as we are about Dylan Cease today.
Well, I mean, but even then, I mean, Chris Getz doesn't seem like he's ruled out a Luis Robert trade. I mean, again, he told you guys that they're listening, just in general. I mean, he didn't single out Dylan Cease. It was more you guys being like, speculating about Cease because he's been, so highly linked. But, I mean, if they made a trade for Luis Robert Jr. this offseason, I think it'd be kind of shocking because we haven't heard anything. But
I mean, he said they're not. He said at the winter meetings they're almost, 99.9% they're not going to. Right?
If they get the right offer, I don't think that they wouldn't entertain.
I think
he has to listen.
Right.
Yeah.
If they're having not trouble, but they're asking for a number with Dylan Cease, I couldn't imagine the number they would and the people they would ask for Luis Robert.
But Luis Robert Jr. is perhaps a little bit more obviously worth it than Dylan Cease would be, which is no affront to Dylan Cease. It's just saying Luis Robert Jr. is an MVP caliber player already, and he plays every day.
And he's cheap, and you have him for 4 years instead of 2 years.
But that's exactly what the White Sox want right now. They want to be in the position where they have somebody for the next 4 years. They already have that guy in Luis Robert Jr.
And his pizza dining habits are inexpensive also. So you don't have to break the bank there, too.
Hopefully Scott Boras can find him a nutritionist.
Yeah, your Garbage
or
City.
just a better pizza place.
Yeah, your Garbage City will probably have a Papa John's in it.
I think we could tell him about better pizza places.
Yeah, but he might listen to Scott.
Yeah.
I guess so. We'll get into Scott Boras' ear to tell him about Luis Robert Jr. pizza places. It would make no sense if the White Sox don't get many Luis Robert Jr. opportunities. There was Frank Thomas, and I think that's really the only player that you could compare him to in the last, 25 years in White Sox history. Like superstar players, like the White Sox have had Frank Thomas and Luis Robert Jr. Chris Sale, maybe.
Chris Sale's definitely there.
But even then, position players, it's Frank and Luis Robert Jr.
Maybe Jose Abreu.
No,
the man won an MVP
in a 60 game season.
Still won MVP.
No, Luis Robert.
He hasn't even been on the team. He's been off the team for a full year, and you can't stop trashing him.
What's wrong with that? I think he was gone the second the Astros signed him. I think I was kicking that corpse.
Unbelievable. Let the man be.
Oh, goodness.
We love you, Pito. All right, that's good.
Well, you don't.
He doesn't love the White Sox. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. That's Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ecknerall23. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Luke, we'll save our thoughts for Jake Woodford tomorrow. We'll honestly probably have a 50-minute conversation about Jake Woodford. We just found out about Jake Woodford while we're live, so we'll get back to you tomorrow at 3:30 with our thoughts on Jake Woodford. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button on our way out. I know the Bears guys, I think, are reacting in Studio A right now to the 8 minutes they'll be live reacting to Kevin Warren, Matt Eberflus's, and Ryan Poles' press conference. So head over to Studio A on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.